Hello, everyone. We're live here with Ready Row USA, the podcast for rowing in the U.S. and sometimes beyond. We are pretty much a weekly podcast about rowing, and we are delighted today to host Caitlin Mance and George Rowley from Philadelphia City Rowing. Am I correct about that? The name of your...
Yes, Philadelphia City Rowing. Thank you for having us.
And Shannon Borum, who is the assistant producer there in the middle, if you're watching.
Hello.
Hi. She's down in Georgia, so we're doing our geographical thing here. And I wanted to say a little bit about our network, if I can get my notes up. Hold on a second. We're part of the Rowing Chat Network that is distributed across the internets, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple, Google, and we also go live to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I'm the producer, Charlotte Pierce, and we are always happy to engage with our audience on social media. You can win a chance to win. You get a chance to win rowing gadgets, gear, and services. And our we had a listener last week who won the remote coaching session from Neil Bergenroth of Tulsa, Grow Tulsa, G-Row Tulsa, and he has a STEM program there based around rowing. He does remote coaching, and Dawana Edwards won that. She's with She's with
Recovery on Water in Chicago, yes, with Kim. Yeah.
Right, with Kimberly, our regular news reporter as well, from Recovery on Water. And next week we have an oar-inspired camera mount to give away. So listen for the episode hashtag so that you can post it on social media. We get some wider audience, and you get to win good, fun stuff. So, are we ready to go to the news, Shannon?
We are, but I think we need to make mention of one of our fabulous sponsors before we go to the news, Charlotte.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
So our first sponsor that we want to talk about is Pregal Rowing Camps. If you want to go row in Europe at a fabulous camp and maybe participate in some of the races this season in Europe, check out Pregal. We're super thankful for their sponsorship, and go check them out. It's PRYGL, or you can find them at rowing.chat/sponsors.
Excellent. Yeah, we all have our sponsors change semi-regularly, and that URL is always a good place to find the discounts and deals that they offer. And that helps us keep on the air, so we are always accepting new sponsors, or we will talk to you about how we can help you tell your rowing story. So we have a little news, Shannon, and
I think it's some big news, Charlotte.
It's a big news, yeah. Oh, okay.
We'll start with good news. How about that?
Let's start with the good news. Yeah. Okay.
Right. The fun, exciting news is that the national team selection camp is happening right now in Chula Vista. So they got started yesterday, and they're doing the men's and women's pairs and the women's double. Today's kind of an off day, no racing today. Tomorrow they will pick back up and do some more racing. So we should have some really cool Olympic news, hopefully by the end of the week. And if you are an Olympic nerd like I am, this is very exciting.
So. I know. I count on you for all my Olympic tracking.
I love it. I love the Olympic years. Oh, favorite thing.
Good deal. Okay, well,
so that was the quick happy news, Charlotte, and now I think it's time to move on to maybe some serious stuff.
Well, these ladies don't look like they're having too much trouble with the coronavirus.
This might have been an older picture. So if you've been awake basically for the past 2 months, coronavirus is getting worse and worse. And so it's starting to impact our rowing community. So the ladies in the Irish ladies, the sweet group was practicing in Italy, and they were about 60 kilometers north of Milan. So they had to book it and head home because of the outbreak in Italy. So they had to cut some of that stuff short.
But they're okay themselves.
Yeah,
so far, right?
they're okay.
right.
Sadly, our next story, there is not some okayness. So China's former rowing champion Pei Juan has lost her husband, who was also a rower, to coronavirus. So Pei was a part of the Chinese women's Coxless Four in 1993, and that's when they won the gold at the World Rowing Championships. She has been in a 14-day quarantine, but her mother-in-law and her son have tested positive for coronavirus after losing her husband. So they are getting treatment. So we definitely want to send our condolences to her on the loss of her husband and sending lots of good wishes as she and her family recover from just a horrible situation.
Yeah. Well, think about
so
her.
that's pretty tough to hear.
And wash your hands and your oar handles, right?
If you're lucky enough to be on the water right now, wash your hands.
Yes. Okay.
But leading into that, I mean, it's real cause for concern, especially, World Rowing. That's our next thing that's happening. The FIS is closely monitoring the situation with COVID-19 or coronavirus. Right now, there's 29 countries around the world that have been impacted, and we're only 2 months away from events scheduled in the Republic of Korea and Italy. So FISA is trying to figure out the best and safest course of action for these events. They're considering all possible actions, and hopefully over the next 48 hours, they will continue speaking with stakeholders and figure out what's going to happen in those events that are scheduled for April and May. They're supposed to put out a publication tomorrow. So if you are watching this live, check on Thursday. Or if you are listening when it hits your podcast service, there's probably some news out today.
Okay, great.
And, like I mentioned, our next part of this terrible story affects the Olympics. The Olympics are at risk. They may be canceled, according to an IOC member, Dick Pound. He was chatting with somebody, with a news reporter. I can't remember who he was talking to, but, the Olympics are scheduled from July 24th to August 9th in Tokyo. And they're at risk. I mean, if there's not a safe way to make everything work, something's going to happen. But he did have a message for the athletes. He wanted them to know that as far as we know right now, everyone's going to Tokyo. All indications are that at this stage, it's going to be business as usual. So keep focused on your sport and be sure that, and just know that the IOC is not going to send you somewhere that's got a pandemic situation.
Right. Caitlin, have you heard anything about that?
I hadn't. I knew that they canceled the Tokyo Marathon.
Yeah, right.
But I didn't hear anything about. I mean, it's a long time away.
Yeah, and they're hoping that it might die down with the onset of warmer weather. So,
right. And if it does get canceled, though, it's going to be the first time that the Olympics would be called off during peacetime. So the only other time that happened was the 1916 games and the 1940 and 44 events for the World Wars.
Right.
So let's hope that none of that happens, but just know that it is in the realm of possibility.
And if you need something to take your mind off it, let me get my slide up here.
Oh, that was good, Charlotte.
I know, isn't that good?
That was good.
We have Rowing Tales. They're one of our sponsors, and actually one of my stories is in there in the 2019 one. Let's just suffice it to say it's about Jim Dietz and an alligator. So, you got to buy the 2019 one and the rest of them because it's like fun stuff to read when you're trying to avoid the news and can get some sleep. But anyway, Rebecca Caro, who's our executive producer, compiles these every year. And if you have a story, just write it down and you'll get it in the next one, most likely. So we have a deal on that at rowing.chat/sponsors. And coming up, we have our main attraction, Caitlin and George.
I know, we're so excited. We're going to continue and actually close out, I think, our Black History Month celebration here at Ready Row USA. And to help us do that, we are going to go live with Caitlin Mance, who is the Executive Director of Philadelphia City Rowing, and George Rowley, who's the Community Outreach and Inclusion Manager, also at Philadelphia City Rowing. So welcome, guys. Thanks for coming today.
And
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
So I think the biggest thing we want to hear about is tell us all about Philadelphia City Rowing. I know you've got a pretty incredible mission and a fantastic set of core values that you're using to bring rowing to kids in the Philadelphia area.
Yes. So PCR, we are approaching our 10th anniversary, which is pretty exciting. It's a big milestone for us. And the program was started largely based on the need to fill gaps in the school district. And so Philadelphia suffered from severe cuts to their budgets and after school sports and programs getting cut, and at the same time had one of the lowest graduation rates in the country. And Philadelphia is the birthplace of rowing, despite, I don't know, people who want to debate that up in Boston or Seattle, but it's where U.S. Rowing was headquartered, where it started. And so our founders sought to draw on the proven power of sports and the rich history of rowing within Philadelphia to bring change to the students in the school district specifically. So our programs, in addition to providing a very rigorous rowing program, also do SAT prep, subject-specific tutoring. We have a guidance counselor on staff. We've added an environmental education program to help create a place-based connection to the river here in Philly. We do nutrition ed, swim lessons. We're getting ready to do, hopefully, some financial literacy, all the stuff.
So you guys aren't just rowing. You guys are getting our kids ready to be adults, which is fabulous.
Yes. So our goal is really to empower them to reach their greatest potential later in life. So we all here in the rowing world know that there are many intrinsic skills that you learn just from going through the process of becoming a rower, like failing and perseverance and time commitment, communication with your coaches, and all those things that set you up later in life. So we use, like, rowing is our tool to teach lessons. It's not the primary focus necessarily.
For sure. We actually had one of your former rowers on to kick off Black History Month, Maurice Scott. So you guys sort of helped get him into where he is, which I think is so cool to close the circle of February with one of your rowers, and now we get to talk about your program.
Yeah, we were happy to have Maurice. We had our first alumni boat this year in the head of the Schuylkill, which was very exciting. Maurice came back for that, and he's a great advocate for our program and is always out there on, social media and in the world.
He's so amazing. I was so glad to get a chance to talk to him. So later in the show, we're actually going to talk to Brannon Johnson, but you guys sort of cover the other end of the spectrum as far as who is a part of your program. Tell us about what kind of programs you're running.
I'm sorry?
Tell us about the programs that you run. I know you guys don't do adult rowing. You do youth rowing, correct?
Correct. So primarily we have middle school and high school programs. Middle school starts in 7th grade all the way up to 8th grade, and high school 9th to 12th. So I also manage the middle school program as well.
Okay.
Yeah, our mission, unlike CRI, which is very broad and it allows them to do amazing things with like tons of different groups. Ours is very focused, and it is specifically students in the school district of Philadelphia. So right now we do 7th through 12th graders, and that's really it. And our MOU, our like agreement with the city to use their land and their space, is pretty restrictive in terms of like only serving kids from the school district.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of kids, how do you go about doing recruiting? How do you find kids who want to row?
This guy.
Great question. Essentially what we do is kind of reach out to all the public schools and charter schools in this area. Location is very important because we take into consideration this is an after school program of practices after school. And so we want to make sure that students have enough time to get back home in a safe amount of time. And so we kind of primarily focus our recruiting efforts right on the cusp of North Philadelphia, Center City, West Philadelphia, just all the surrounding schools near the Schuylkill River.
Fantastic.
Philly's, sorry not to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
in that kids, a lot of the schools are like they would test into them, and so they can go to school really far away from where they live and then have to travel to us and then have to travel home. So triangulating that system for the kids on public transportation is it's fun. Yeah.
Hats off to you. I learned how, I got a little permit to drive our little activity bus just because there's no transportation where we are too. So I feel about 1% of probably what you guys have to go through. But it's worth it when the kids are out there. So I know you guys have a great heart and do what you can to get them on the water. So let's move on to, where is Charlotte in our, yeah, George, tell us all about inclusion and what you do for coaching development.
Great. So community inclusion is very important actually to me. I try to attend a lot of different community events in this area just to kind of network, get people more aware about PCR, what we're doing, what our mission is. And I always have the same reaction in awe of what we're doing. The fact that we have a free program offering to public and charter school students, teaching them how to row, teaching them free swimming lessons. And being from this area, I kind of can anticipate a lot of the apprehension and a lot of questions that may come up. So I'm able to meet those as soon as I meet a person and kind of tell them about our community, what we're trying to do. So really just reaching out, casting a broad net, and just kind of telling everybody and anybody about PCR.
I love it. So what does a week look like for one of your rowers?
Just rowing practice, pretty much, wedding.
So for our high school team, it is 5 days a week plus an academic day. And so they come pretty much all the time from 4 to about 6:30 every night. And they it's a very competitive program. And we really benefit, I think, from being in Philadelphia, which has one of the largest scholastic rowing racing scene in the country. And so our kids get to race in the Flicks, which is a series of regattas that have hundreds of participants. And so instead of having that kind of old school model of like dual racing up in New England, we get to show up and battle, with like 20 entries every week. And so they really get a very competitive experience, which I think is a little bit different than some other place in the country, which makes this awesome.
Sure. I think we had a little bit of success last year, city championships. So.
George worked with our novice boys 4 who ended up winning city championships last year. So
That's amazing. Congratulations. But the commitment level your kids must have, that's amazing. I couldn't imagine. So roughly 6 days a week they're at the boathouse. Well, not boathouse. You said you didn't have a boathouse, right?
Right. We have our boats inside a fenced in area. And then we use bathrooms at a public rec center right on Boathouse Row.
How do you guys facilitate the academic piece?
So we also have a land location where we have ergs and a weight room and a classroom essentially. And so we have computers and stuff. So they just go to different places. They're about 3/4 of a mile away from each other. So usually they just walk up if they're in the wrong place.
I just think of the amazing community feeling you're developing within your rowers, and it's wonderful. I'm super envious and so proud that that's happening. So let our listeners know how they can support you guys.
Sure. So coming up, we have our second annual PCR 10K challenge. It started last year just as a way to raise awareness for our program and what we're doing within the rowing community. And it was more successful than we expected it to be. And so we're going for round 2. And basically what people have to do is erg a 10K, or they can row it, or they can run it this year, or bike, whatever they need to do. Take a sweaty selfie and then post it on social media with hashtag PCR 10K challenge. And then the goal would be for them to tag 3 friends so that those 3 friends would then participate and then hopefully make a donation. So last year we were really successful in growing it within the rowing community. And so this year we're trying to focus on businesses and other corporations. So if you're going to participate and you want to like tag your post-fuel snack company or whatever you want to do to make it interesting or creative, we'd love to see that.
That is a wonderful way to harness the power of social media. Whoever came up with that was on the mark. Good luck. Again, guys, just thank you so much for being with us today. We're very excited. I'm a follower on social media. I love seeing all the stuff you guys are doing and promoting our sport for kids and just watching kids change. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll have a wonderful afternoon.
You too.
Okay, and so like we mentioned earlier, earlier this week, Charlotte got a chance to talk to Brannon Johnson, and she's also in Philadelphia, and she runs BLJ Community Rowing. So we're going to run a video that Charlotte took talking to Brannon, and she's so delightful. Can't wait for everyone to watch this.
I'm going to try and remember to share the audio this time.
Okay. While you're getting that, we do have a couple of things. Dewana Edwards is very excited that she won. She just commented. And Andres Carrazzo, sorry if I didn't say that exactly correct, says hello. So we say hello back. So thank you guys for watching live.
I think Andres is down somewhere in South America, actually.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, it's fun. We have all these people all over. It's nice to connect people. Okay, so are we ready to run to Brannon? This was a really fun talk.
Absolutely.
And one of the people I admire so tremendously in the rowing community. Great.
She's so fun. And then right after this interview, I saw she posted on social media where she got all dressed up, and I thought,
I know, yeah. She says, I spend 12 hours a day on the coaching boat. I want to dress up once in a while. Right. So we'll give her that. Okay, here she goes. Hello, this is Charlotte Pierce. I'm the producer of Ready Row USA, and we're rolling in a special interview today with Brannon Johnson, who's the founder and head coach of BLJ Community Rowing in Philadelphia on the Schuylkill River. Did I say that right?
You said that right. Schuylkill River.
Schuylkill. It's like me with Saratoga and Sarasota. I mix them up.
Yes, those are easily confused, though.
Yeah, it's not even fair. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how you get started in rowing. And I know you're the head of this and founder of this BLJ Community Rowing in Philadelphia. But how'd you get interested in doing that kind of thing?
Actually, so I did an inner city learn to row camp, and we played basketball more than we rowed, actually. But my dad was pulled to the side and informed about Title IX and how colleges were picking up women's rowing, and how I was suited to the sport, and we argued about it because I was a dance major and I thought I was going to be the next Judith Jamison, and he won. And tells that story regularly. So I, just being Black and growing up in the sport, I knew that I could, sort of be a bridge and make some change and and create some of the changes that I wanted to see. So, back in college and while training, I started just teaching learn to row classes to just get people introduced to the sport. Over the last decade, we've developed a 6-week curriculum. We are at 4 different Learn to Row centers, different adult learning organizations throughout the city. We've grown from 15 people to 80, which is really scary. We are working with youth. We're working with older adults. We're really having a great time of sort of being in a position where we're starting to get some very interesting traction.
Nice.
With the cultural climate, I think, we're in a spot where people see the need to change, but I think that what's interesting and new with this, this last 2 years, people want to participate in the change. So people are showing up and people are asking very, very good questions, and people are listening, which is new for me. So people are really listening and wanting to understand how we built this, and they understand why it's important. I think, but what's the trend now is people want to know how we got here. So I've been spending a lot more time talking than I normally do.
I know you said you usually spend 8 hours a day on the river, and
yeah, we work
now
a
you have
15 hour day. Yeah, so
Yeah,
now we are.
15 hours.
I'm gonna have to start delegating
Yeah.
some coaching and actually having conversations and building our brand and having an important conversation.
Right.
Really.
Well, let us. I mean, Arshay Cooper recommended you that we talk to you for Black History Month.
Arshay is a great guy. Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
He
His story
is
is really, really cool.
talk about inclusive and making people feel good about working for inclusion.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, he didn't make me feel good because he guilted me into going to his opening tomorrow.
You're different.
That didn't feel good, but he's a great guy. I'm going to give him a little bit of crap about he had a bit of an attitude. So yeah, he guilted me. So I'm going. I'll be going.
Well, I said, who are you going to get for Black History Month? Who's some other good people? And he said, well, did you reach Brannon? Did you reach Brannon? I was like, but he's a shining example. And I've got to know, we posted some things about the movie on Instagram for Ready Row USA. Yeah. And so we've gotten connected with the other rowers, and they're just so sweet and positive. And
he's a stellar human. Arshay is a stellar human. I mean, I am also just hoping Common's going to be there at the opening. I'm not going to lie.
I know. So are you going to go to SXSW too?
No, so we're just going to go to the congressional screening tomorrow in DC, and David Banks is flying in for it. So, and if Common's there, I'll probably not behave, but
we'll just get your little selfie stick out and. Anyway, we're talking about you, so but this is all related, and we want to continue our coverage of inclusion in rowing. So
I mean, Charlotte, let's not talk about Arshay. This is my time.
I know you put on the sweater and everything.
Thank you.
I know, it's beautiful. But let me ask you, as you started this, I mean, you 13, 15 years ago, you started the Quilt Club? Or?
I have been coaching since 2006. We incorporated in 13. And I'm going gray, as you can see, as a result of it. I am in my 4th year fully doing it full time. And I think what's amazing is we really have built a really thriving, very, very diverse community. And I think that's what I'm most proud of. We don't shy away from having the difficult conversations. We've got people from different socioeconomic backgrounds. We have people, from different lifestyles. And, it's really interesting to sort of be a mecca, really, for change and for diversity. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But I think we've kind of shifted the boathouse sort of philosophy on its head a little bit, because we don't have an actual house, right? We are a boathouse without walls. So when you don't have walls, you have to think very differently. You have to think outside of the box. You have to partner differently. You have to look at equipment differently. You have to look at performance differently. You have to look at practice styles differently. And we really have kind of turned the corner. We figured out how to do everything wrong. So I always say I am fantastic at failing.
Well, that is a tremendous asset. Not a lot of people that can, recognize that as a value.
I am fantastic at failing.
I love it. But what are some of the have you had some resistance from other types of rowing organizations or rowers, or have you had any challenges of that kind, or has people been pretty receptive in general?
What's interesting is honestly, I think we are so different. We've kind of just been able to build this thing kind of under the cover of darkness, really. I think we are also a very specific sort of organization. I think Boathouse Row and Boathouse, there are people that want that, and that's a very specific thing. I think that, people that come to us are looking for something a little bit different. I also think that we also look very different. I was just doing an interview and somebody asked me, how do we go about getting, Black and brown people involved? And I said, one of the interesting things is myself and my staff, we are Black. So, I'll be on my launch and people will literally flag me down to say, hey,
Yeah.
you look like me. We're out there. Can I do this? How can I get involved? How can I try?
I love it. That is so cool. And
So-
that's what your website, I took this from your website, the image of Boathouse Without Walls. It has its value. I mean, it has its assets.
Exactly. I mean, our mission really is to provide access and remove boundaries.
Yes.
There is no physical boundary. But remember, I also like to say, your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness. So there are some days when I do get that, I've been out there for 15 hours and someone walks up and is like, hey, are you BLJ? And I'm like, I don't know
Maybe
who she is. And I think she left for the day. Here's the card and give her a call.
So I'm wondering, like, when you're out there, like, messing with your boats or getting stuff in the water, or bringing them back up, and somebody rides by on their bike and they say, what are you guys doing? What is it? Do you have a good story from some encounter like that where someone has come on?
Oh my goodness. Stories are my favorite. Sure.
All right. Tell me a story.
I think one of my favorite stories is out there. I have a group of older ladies that hate carrying the quad. Like, they hate it with the heat of 1,000 suns. And I'm, even though the three of, I row with them, and I carry one side of the quad by myself. And the three of them wrestle with the one. And I'm just like, you have to do it.
I get it.
They recruited a gentleman from walking by, a random gentleman walking by. I was like, hey, can you help us carry this boat? And I'm their coach. I'm physically standing there like, no, this is absolutely obnoxious. And he did. He helped them carry it. And then Joycey, who's 80, she's hilarious, is like, you should join. It's great for you. It's great. It's a great sport, all this stuff. And why don't you go for your walk and come back and help us carry it back to the racks? And I'm like, Joycey, long story short, he was there when we got back. He helped us put the boat back on the rack, and then he has been a member for 5 years.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh my gosh. That is a great story. Yeah.
And I think my other favorite story is I was out with my a quad, and my Black men. I have a quad that's full of Black men. By full, I mean there's 4 Black men, obviously. And
you don't try to put any more in.
We're not squashing them all in there, right? And I'm on the launch, and I'm coaching them. And this guy, I thought he was having a heart attack. Like, he was like flagging us, like flailing his arms, and I'm like, this man is in trouble. Like, he's in peril. Something's going on. So I go over, and he's like, hey, I've not seen Black people in the boat and then Black people in the white boat. I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm like, what white boat is he talking about? You know what I mean? So Lamont, who is one of my, he's like, coach, he's talking about the launch. He's talking about the launch. He's like, yeah, I've never seen a Black person on the launch. And so, like, this older Black gentleman, I am belly laughing. So he, like, I was like, I thought you were having a heart attack. You know what I mean? Like, I was getting ready to call 911. I thought you needed help. He was like, no, I just want to tell you, good job. And what's your name?
Yeah.
So that interrupted our entire practice to say good job. But yeah, that made my week. Like, just hilarious. Just these funny, really, really funny encounters.
Yeah, I love it. You have to have a sense of humor when, to maintain that kind of energy too,
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So we have a couple more minutes. And who are these two? You sent me some pictures of a guy on a bike and a guy on a boat. Two African.
Tamir is one of our new assistant coaches.
Awesome.
And this was actually, he was pedaling to practice on a borrowed bike. So the community I got together and I said, hey guys, we need to get this guy a bike. Like, he's showing up and he works so hard. He's finishing up his last year actually, and he's rowing in college. And so the community got together and everybody put in the pot and got him a bike. So
see, that's what's special about your. I mean, there's probably a lot of boathouses that do this kind of thing, but just like seeing the need, and it's not just related to rowing, but it's the whole infrastructure of getting there and everything.
So I was just super, super happy to do that for him, and he got it, and it's just such a mutually beneficial relationship, right? Because he had people that he hadn't even met yet that donated, and then he went through and sent out thank you letters. So to watch him learn how to say thank you and how to, make sure he closed that circle and say I appreciated it, and then he learned names that people that he didn't know, because our community is growing. So he goes up to people like, oh, thank you so much. So it's just nice to see him like just interacting with people, and that was really just a lovely moment for us.
And he's in his 20s, or he's in college.
Oh,
right?
he's in his teens. Yes.
Oh my gosh,
he's a
that's
baby.
even better.
Yeah. But he's a good kid and very, very promising future. We're excited that he's graduating so we can get more time out of him.
Watch this guy. And then we have a little picture as we wrap up here, a couple of more slides if you're watching live. This is a nice little, it looks like a fundraiser or something. Is it just a party from?
So we do two parties a year. Our Kentucky Derby party is probably my favorite because I get to wear my mom's hats, and we do that on the Derby day. And then our awards party, which is basically a really fun way to just say thank you, touching on some funny things that have happened throughout the year. Like we have a why I flipped award that goes out. For example, someone went in the water after a duck. I'm still mad about that. And that person knows who they are and they know what they did.
Yeah, and they'll be watching this.
Actually, she probably will watch this, and she knows she's in trouble. And then, it just, community is really, really important to me. I think.
Yeah, that's what Carrie was saying.
Really
that is one of your tremendous skills, is being able to
and
identify skills and people who work well together.
That will work well together. I spend a lot of time just making sure that I create an environment where people understand the individual, the group supersedes the individual need. And, my favorite saying is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. And then we have a little slide, which I think includes a picture of most of your coaches, or some of them.
No, that's Marcus in the back. And then Jada, who was our intern, and then Bailey was a youth in India, or all youth. And unfortunately, that's my sister, who calls herself BLJ's sister in chief, and that's not a real job. It's not a real position,
right? But
my staff is definitely David Banks, who is amazing, two-time Olympian. He's in Oakland, California. Sam Franklin is our attorney. He's a great guy. His parents are very, very big deals on Boathouse Row. The Franklins have literally helped me be who I am. And then just a whole host of volunteers and people that really, really just care and want to help create and facilitate change.
Brilliant. Well, we are so pleased to have you, and we would like to have you keep sending us ideas for people that we can interview and topics.
Absolutely.
And, I know we can't have you on all the time, even though we would like to, but you need to be out in your 12 hours. And then.
Yes, we are getting ready to head back out on the water. So yes, I will.
On that white boat. All right.
I'm thinking about painting it black, but yes, on the white boat.
Yeah, paint it black. Isn't that a song? I think that's a song.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, well, happy Black History Month, and we'll continue the coverage.
Okay.
Okay, hon. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
She is so fun, Charlotte. You
I
talk
know.
to people.
I would have her on all the time if I could, you know? It's just-
I know, she's lovely. I want to go get coached by her.
I want to go row and party with her.
I don't know that I can hang. I'm an old
Yeah,
lady
we
at
might
heart.
not-
I don't have.
We
I
might
don't
not
have
be
the
able to
energy.
keep up.
No.
Oh, gosh. Well,
Um,
I suppose we have to wrap up here at some
I
point.
think so.
Huh? Oh, darn. Okay.
All
well,
right.
we have,
So go
we have
ahead.
that was the, we'll post all these links from Philadelphia City Rowing and BLJ Community Rowing on our show notes. So don't feel like you have to write them down. They'll be right there on the show notes.
So while you're checking those show notes, how about you head over to our Rowing Club news form? I can't beat Charlotte's segue from earlier, but I'll try.
That was a good one.
We want to hear about your club. You know, no club's too big, no club's too small, no club's too winning, no club's too losing. We just want to celebrate what folks are doing in our sport around the country and maybe even around the world. So fill us in on what's going on in your club. And the last thing we're going to ask for you to do, well, second to last thing, send us some information on gadgets and gear that you're playing with. You know, Charlotte is a huge gadget head. Give her some stuff to play with.
Yeah, and we're going to be giving away one of these things because this is an oar-inspired mount. Can you see it? I can't remember.
That's some serious swag, Charlotte.
Yeah, I have. It's got like, and it goes over the curved part of a boat. So I had my, 360 camera down there in Florida. I had it on there, and it's like 3 feet high, so it gets it way above to where you can get a nice view if you're doing training videos and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, Oar Inspired they were a sponsor last fall, and what my first unit broke, probably because I mistreated it, but they sent me not only a new one and a new part, but when it didn't come in time, they sent a whole new unit. So now I have 3, and I'm going to give one to our next person who uses our, I guess in the next couple weeks, if you use our episode hashtag.
Exactly. And speaking of episode hashtags, let's tell everyone what ours is for today. Our hashtag today is RRUSA Philly Rose.
Is it Philly or Philly Rose?
I think it should be Philly Rose, but we could do Philly or Philly Rose. We'll
Either one. Either one. We're so easy.
Just engage us on social, you guys. Thank you to everyone who's watching live and commenting. We love seeing what you guys have to say. And thank you, Charlotte, for letting this Black History Month series happen. I think this was just a fabulous, fabulous month.
I have to say that you are largely responsible for putting it together and inspiring it and bringing all those fabulous guests. And we're not going to stop with our Black History coverage and Black rowing coverage. We have Arshay Cooper and his Manly crew coming next month with their filmmaker, Mary Mazio. So
I'm so excited, Charlotte. I mean,
they're the most amazing guys. Like one of them has a barber shop or like and one of them is a moving person, and they're just they're all like now coming. I think today they're going to go see the movie in DC.
And I think Brannon saw it last night, didn't she?
No, she's going with them today.
Okay.
Yeah, so lucky her.
I actually, I just got a message from Mary Mazio that they're working on hopefully getting an Atlanta screening.
Yes. Well, I got 4 tickets for Boston on the 27th, and
Boston's such a good place for rowing.
I know it's going to be downtown in Boston Common, so Common on the Common. Maybe he'll come.
So fun. When are you going?
The 27th at 1 p.m.
At what time?
It's 1 p.m. There's like 4 showings every day.
I thought you said 1 a.m. I was like, Charlotte, wow.
No, but wow. I would if I had to.
I would take a nap. Yeah, I would too.
Anyway, what else we got? We got Pierce Press. I'm one of the I do sweat equity sponsorship. I'm always looking for interesting manuscripts on alternative education and coaching. And Shannon.
I'm Shannon Borum. I teach at Hampton High School, and we also have Georgia's only public school rowing program. Yeah. So if you're near Georgia, come visit.
Yeah, you guys, you do such great things with those kids.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. I can't wait.
Yeah. And we don't have we don't have a slide for her, but Kimberly Reynolds is our
news commentator. I miss Kimberly, but she's busy at work today.
I know she has to do. She works for the Chicago Fire Department. She has to put together some kind of workshop or something. So
I know, and she does like 11 miles of exercise every day. Like she's
know.
incredible.
I am not
Again.
worthy. Yeah.
I am not either.
You want to take us out with what's coming up?
Absolutely. So as you can tell, we're finishing up our Black History Month official celebrations, but we're never going to stop talking about diversity and inclusion. We want to hear about your clubs, guys, and your gadgets and your gears. We're going to continue nerding out over the Olympics. We are also prepping later in June. We're going to do a whole series on LGBT rowing and what that looks like. And next month, actually, we're going to do a really cool episode with the author of Something in the Water, which is the book about the Skibbereen Rowing Club.
I'm going to crack up. The Irish accent always gets me.
I read that whole book while I was sitting at a wrestling tournament for school, and I, like, the whole time, everything I read was in the accent, and I was like, I hope it's this good in person.
Have you ever heard those? I guess they're brothers, right?
Oh, Gary and Paul? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
I interview with them? They were interviewed at the Head of the Charles a couple of years ago, and it was just like, you could barely understand them, but you didn't care. You know,
I don't care. I just need to hear "Pull Like a Dog" once a week, and I'm good to go.
Pull like a dog.
Sorry to all of the Irish people that I offended with that accent.
I know, it's terrible, but we do our best.
On that note, let's go home, Charlotte.
Okay, we'll prepare for next week, and we've got. Is that what do we?
No, next week I think we're actually talking about rebuilding clubs. So some folks down here that we know. Yeah, exciting times. We'll get back.
And anyone that wants to call in or tell us about your experience building or rebuilding a club, we want to hear about it too. So
we do for sure.
Thanks.
So have a good night, Charlotte.